Hiya, it's me, your favourite person named Lyra. It's not a particularly high bar, I know. This channel is a bit of a mess. It's just everything that I want to upload just sort of gets put here. Thing is, I have a bad case of the autism, and if I start trying to like categorize all the types of videos that I want to make, there's going to be like 10 Lyra YouTube channels at some point, and nobody wants that. So you're just gonna have to deal with the mess, whether you subscribe for the music reviews, which there are a few of, or some vague Muse meme video in 2016. I mean, if that's the case, you're probably wondering, like, who the fuck is this weirdo? Well, hi, I am just what the internet needed. I am a trans lesbian Anthony Fantano. Not the internet's busiest music nerd, because I can't commit to anything, but I love music. And I've just bought a new webcam that I would like to test out. So I figured it's December, it's list time, people make lists. I'm not gonna do a Watch Mojo top 10 best albums of the year, mainly because I think ranking like albums that have nothing to do with each other is just a bit dumb. Like, all of these could be judged on completely different merits, and like, it doesn't really matter, it's just records that I thought were good. So I'm gonna call it Kool Records with a K and a Z. Why? So first off, I'm going to put this record as the first because people are going to stop watching this video eventually, and I want everybody to check out this record because I want this band to get big. Some of my friends are going to be watching and they already fucking know what this is. I am this band's biggest champion, or should I say groupie. The band is called Noah Lee and the record is called Airship. So I became a fan of this band in 2019 when they just had like a few singles out. I saw them open for another Belgian band called Arsenal, and since then they've released a wonderful EP and now this debut album as well. Once again, it takes you through a beautiful journey of sort of like a jazzy, proggy, indie pop. The lead singer Nina has got a voice that is just absolutely angelic, and the songs she's composed here are wonderful as well. Also with some very talented musicians on bass and drums and guitar. I've had the honour of seeing this band live, I think 12 times. My wallet has loved this. So if you are Belgian, like I'm assuming 90% of my viewers are, or you're ever in the area, or Noah Lee is ever in your area, just go and see Noah Lee and buy this record because it's absolutely amazing. This band should be so big, and I've been saying that for so long, I guess just to manifest it. Like, eventually it's just gonna happen. Noah Lee, check them out. Lovely people, lovely band, lovely music, amazing. Next up is gonna be a Dutch rap album by de jeugd tegenwoordig, which is called Moderne Manieren. De jeugd are one of the biggest names in the sort of nederhop scene of Dutch hip-hop. And I have to say, I'm only a fairly recent convert to this sort of music. I was always like a rock person growing up, like hip-hop has only been something that I've gotten into recently. But what really helps in the case of de jeugd are these amazing beats made by Bas Bron. If this would have been an instrumental record, I would have loved it as well, but there are also some very funny lyrics from the other three members, some great flows that I love sort of rapping along to. It's a super fun record that just always puts me in a good mood. I think some of the production choices and the sort of song structures are not too obvious, but they still work really well, and I think those sorts of risks like really pay off. Obviously that's me saying that as like a prog fan. Just in general, musicians, make your albums a little bit more prog, do like a longer song, and then they're going to be on this list, like pretty much guaranteed. That's also why this isn't like a serious best of list in which I try to be like a hard-hitting journalist, because like I know what the things are that I love, the things that I look for, and it's like, wow, a 10-minute song on a rap album. Just, I don't know, I'm predictable, okay? Third on the list, Stephen Wilson, The Harmony Codex. Need I say more? It's The Harmony Codex by Stephen Wilson, an incredible record. His best in years, sounds amazing. A lot more exciting to me than Closure Continuation, which is, I think is decent, but like it still feels a bit like a retread to me at this point, and this is really new territory. That is something that I have generally loved about Stephen's music. Like, he's not afraid to be an innovator and just try new things on every record. There's bits of all his previous work on this, but none of it really feels stale, like he puts a new spin on it every time. Every song's great, immaculately produced. I can't wait to see some of these live. It's Stephen Wilson. On a related note, there's a song on this record called Rock Bottom, which was written and features Ninet Tayeb, and she's got a new record out, which is called I Don't Speak Hebrew. I wish I did, because my god am I in love with this record. I've been trying to learn the first song, Howlech, on piano, but really all of it's incredible. For years I've been listening to Ninet's features on Stephen's records, but never did I really take the time to delve deeper into her own discography. But this record has absolutely hooked me. Like, this woman's got a voice. And the songs she writes, like the sense of melody, is honestly incredible. If you get past the language barrier, because I'm assuming that most of my viewers don't speak Hebrew, it's a fairly straightforward rock record, but it's got a slightly proggy and a bit of a Middle Eastern edge as well. There's some dancey tracks, there's some more solemn songs. She does it all, and she does it also incredibly well. I really cannot recommend this album enough, especially amongst like Stephen Wilson fans who haven't listened to Ninet's own work yet, but also just in general to any rock music fan. If you're not from Israel, this is probably not going to be on your radar, but it absolutely should be. Next up, Deus, How to Replace It. It's a Deus record, and it's a very good Deus record. Deus are one of the biggest rock bands in Belgium, so if you're Belgian, you probably don't need an introduction to them, and if you're not, like, this is a band with a very international sound that you should be listening to. Their most popular records are from the 90s, there's a few from the 2000s as well. Pocket Revolution especially I think is amazing. The two records that came before this, to be fair, were not really their most consistent, but it's been 9 years since those records came out, and How to Replace It is once again Deus at their most inspired. Big fan of this record as a massive Deus fan, but also as someone who thought the last two albums were slightly weaker. I didn't really know what to expect, but I was very pleasantly surprised. Also, this is another band that you really need to see live. They put on a fantastic show. Next up, Robbing Millions, who are also a Belgian band and who could have really been in the no release slot as well, because this is another band that I am a massive fan of. In fact, the lead singer has acknowledged me from the stage as being their biggest fan. They're led by a guy called Lucien Frepon, who has got to be one of the most talented musicians on this earth. The songs this man writes are all over the place, sort of between folk and prog rock, a strong pop sensibility, but also quite a bit of jazz. The record is called Rêve Party, and it's probably his most consistent, full of poppy, sticky choruses, but also some really interesting instrumental sections. This band also deserves so many more listeners, and you should really check out this record. Continuing the Belgian tour is what may actually be my favourite of the Belgian records. It's really difficult, all of these are amazing, but it's by Glauque, and it's called Les gens passent, le temps reste. This is in French. I barely speak French. I understand very little of this record. Like, I can hear him say Gérard Depardieu and Café Noir. But like, what these lyrics are about in general, no fucking clue. That is to say, I don't really think that's a barrier to entry, because the main reason I love this band so much, I mean, yeah, the raps sound very hard hitting, but also the instrumentals are incredible. There's sort of like a retro modular synth house techno type thing. Very noisy, a bit of an industrial flair. It sounds immaculate in all its chaos. The beats are hard hitting, but they're also very danceable. The song Belle Choix has to be my favourite Belgian song of the year. I remember hearing that song for the first time when I saw this band live last year at Botanique in Brussels, and I was just fucking floored. I mean, I was floored by that entire set. They played just most of this new record. But I remember I had taken like a little video of this song, and I remember listening to it over and over and just being like, I want this song, I want it now. And then they released the second single for this record. I didn't know what the titles were. I just saw like Belle Choix. I was like, is this gonna be it? And I heard those first fucking piano notes and I was like, yes! That day, I was very happy that day. Also, the song Deuil at the end of the record comes very close to that one for me. It's like just shy of 10 minutes. And it goes from this sad ambient section to this absolute banger of a beat at the end. Just, if you like any music with synths in it, just listen to this fucking record. Just do it. Next up, not a Belgian album. It's the new Riverside Riverside are good. Riverside are a good prog band, and their new album might be one of their best yet, actually. I say might because I'm not familiar with every Riverside album, or at least like not every song on every Riverside album. But this album contains some of my absolute favourite songs of the year, especially Friend or Foe. And also I had the privilege of seeing this band live a few times this year as well, and they absolutely delivered every time. If you like your prog rock infused with a little bit of hooky pop music like I do, then definitely check this out. Next up is Johannes, zijn naam, who is a Flemish guy from around this area actually, who used to be in a band called the Van Jets, who are quite popular in Belgium. He's got a new record out which is completely different from everything he's done before in his music career. It's like a Dutch chamber pop type thing, and usually I've got to say, hearing my local accent in music, bit of a turn off. Probably makes me close-minded, but I just can't get over the fact that I think everybody from West Flanders sounds like a farmer. So basically, if the bar for an average artist is like this high, the bar for an artist singing or rapping in Flemish is like this. And Johannes here managed to jump straight over it. I was pleasantly surprised, but I loved this album. The lyrics are great and give a lot of wonderful insight into Johannes as a person. And the music is beautifully produced, wonderfully layered. It's a record really unlike anything else I've heard this year, and that alone makes it worth a mention. And then the last record is going to be one that I've been quite into the last few weeks. It's by Coloray and it's called Copyright Sign. Last month I saw the Stats in Tilburg and Coloray was on after them. I'm very glad I stayed because this record is incredible and he put on an incredible show as well. It's very much the sort of dance electronic music I'm inspired by when it comes to my own projects. Sort of a mixture of tech house and more accessible pop music. If you're into bands like Bob Moses, you'll probably love this as well. The production is absolutely immaculate. Like, again, it's quite accessible, but it's also got a few interesting edges to it. So if you like your dance music, definitely check this out. Also, there's a new EP by Spiritbox, great metalcore band. Didn't think of that when I was recording because it's not an album. It's called The Fear of Fear. Listen to it. Then, as I mentioned, I have got a record out myself. I'm not going to put it in the list because I'm not that much of an egomaniac, just a little. But if you enjoyed any of these picks, you might enjoy my own music as well because it is very much inspired by the music that I listen to day to day. It's out now on Spotify and Apple Music and in like all those places. Like regardless, I'm going to put links below for all these records that I've mentioned. They will be Spotify links because if you are an Apple Music user, at this point you're already used to your friends sending you Spotify links and you're having to type them out manually. I'm not going to hold your hand here. This is the life you've chosen. And that was the list. Cool albums, cool records. Now I'm going to spend like 6 hours editing this. It's going to be horrible. Bye.